All right, guys. So it's recording. So always what I said, when you have a data to store in the database, you're gonna think like a table, spreadsheet, right? So these are the headings of your table, and then each row gonna be data, right? So shipping address, let's say this is the website, right? And there is a shipping address table. In that table, the person or the user, right, the buyer who log into your website, then I have an ID, okay, user ID. So in that user ID, this information will be saved, right? So how you gonna create first schema for that? Then how you gonna like do the type checking, right, or get the type of from that schema after validation, right? How you gonna get the type? So you can just store in one variable, right? So let's start from here, okay? The shipping address schema we're gonna create in the same file, right? Validator file. So I'll just copy this and go back to our validator. So what is that? In the leave schema, right? No, not I think we put in the validation here, validator. I'll just paste here. Okay, so I mean you can put it anywhere, but let's put in the one place, right? So in this in this schema, right, we have full name, like when you ship, right, when you ship the item, you're going to need the name of the person, street address, city, postal code, country, maybe if you want to add the location, right, like the Google map, latitude, longitude. So we just keep it optional, okay, optional, right, for now, because we don't have that information. Maybe in the future, if we want to integrate Google map, then we have to update this field, right, latitude, longitude also. So we'll see that if we have to write in the future, but for now, normally you will get something like this: full name, street address, city, postal code, country, maybe phone number, something like that, right? For us learning purpose, this is good enough. Okay, you can extend, right? If you need, you can just add the fields, extend the area. Next step is we exporting this. So we're going to import in our validation type, right? Type here. So shipping address schema, you import here. Right, and then you just extend it, okay? Same like this, right? The export type we call what? Here I have given the name. So just copy and quickly put it there. So what happened from that schema, right? We gonna create the type now. Type means what? See, in the type script, when you have any data, right, the type script says, okay, what kind of data is this? How you gonna validate? For that purpose, right, we creating this field, okay? So this type will check for the type of data, right? We will be adding to the shipping address, right, in the database. So we want to check if this is matching to this or not. If someone's sending maybe let's say some fruits name or something else, right, through this data, then if it will not match, we're gonna get error. Okay, so that's why this is like a checking point, right? Must be something similar to this. Okay, so we have type defined now. What is the next step? Now it's time to create a model for us, right? The model for our database. Okay, so let's do that. Because we have types, we need a place to store the data. We must create a model. So where we create model, we have Prisma. That means we go to the Prisma folder schema right here and just add this. So what I'm going to do, right, I will just make this name short. I'll just keep it like ADDRESS address only, no S. And then we have to link to the user, right? Because the user table, who is the user now? Because in this user, right, we gonna store the user ID. So this, so that we know when we like, this will be table, right? Table, and each user gonna have the information about the address. So there will be user field, and the in that field connected with the user ID, right? Like for example, like it refer to the user ID, okay? Refer to ID, right? So yeah, we have user ID here, and it will refer to this ID from the user table. So we must tell the user table also that we have the shipping address, right? Where is that? Here. So what we can do, not that one, this one, right? User. So we must just call it address, simple like this, and maybe that is the address table, right? Address table, and put this one, okay? So now that error should be gone, okay? Let's check. Yeah, so there is no more error, right? Because now this address table knows how to get the user ID, right? Because they are now in relation. Okay, let's get rid of that. So once we have the schema ready, right? So look at this schema. Always when you create a schema for MongoDB, this ID is the unique ID, right? And it refer to underscore ID, because in MongoDB it creates underscore ID for the unique ID, okay? We have full name, street address, city, postal code, country, latitude, longitude. They are optional, so that's why we put question mark here, optional. And the user ID, which is coming from the user table, the user who is logged in, right, and try to create the address. So when they create an address, they must be logged in. We must have the authenticated user, right? That's the problem I have, and I'm gonna fix that later. So this ready. Once we have this ready, right, we can say npx prisma db push. So this address table will be added in the MongoDB, and if we go back and refresh, right, MongoDB, you're gonna, right now you don't see the address table here, but let's refresh, and you're gonna see that. So there is the address table, right? Fine. Let's continue. So now so next step is in user action, right? We're gonna create get user by ID, okay? So let's go back to our user action, because we need to get user, right, by ID. We're gonna need that during the creation of address, right? So let's create that in the leave action, user action, right? So we have get user by ID, but now user is also connected. We have this field already, right? Okay, we added before. So see, now we have, like address bar also, right? Like address. So if you want to get the user by ID, right, and the address of this user also with the same function, how you gonna load that? So here even you can add like a what is that? Let me see. Include, right? We can even include here. Include address, right? Address. Okay. And that should be, yeah, I think that should be fine. Include address, right? But it did not, let's see. We'll just make it true, I think. Yeah, let's make it true, right? So that should give us the address. That is all. Address, take one. No need, I think that is fine, right? But see, in the address, we have to look at our table also, right? Address will be in form of array, right? You're getting the array. So in this way, we have to check how this address is coming. Okay, so we're gonna fix, if we have to fix, we're gonna fix that later, right? For now, let's not worry. But by making this true, when you call this get user by ID, right, this function will give us this address also. We're gonna have address related, I mean there, right? So we can just use it if we have to use. Okay, fine. So that is good enough. Next is what? So define the function to save user address in the address table, right? So it says define the function to save user address in the address table. So we have to write a function. The function, you know, like we have server action, right? I mean, you have the HTML form. Like remember the sign in and sign up form? You have the form. You're going to fill out that. In that form, you call your user basically action, right? Sign in action or whatever the function you have. That action will take the values, validate, and store in the database, right? So same thing here also. We're going to create a function to update or maybe create the address in the database. Okay. So let's do that, right? So in the leave action, user action, we're going to add the function. Call this, right? So I think we are here already in the user action. We just put it here, you know, because we have like get user by ID, get user by email. We can add another function also, no problem. Right? So let's check now. There is some error. We're going to fix all that. Shipping address. So we need to import this, right? We don't have that. So let's import. That was the type checking, right? From the type. Okay, so now that error is gone, because see, this is that when you fill out the form, right? And you're going to send that value will be this shipping address. That's the value, right? We're going to have full name, street address, city, postal code, country, latitude, longitude, optional. So maybe that will be undefined, right? So that's why we have that. Auth, we're going to check if the user is authenticated or not. In the server is okay, right? It's easy. Import auth from next auth. Basically auth, right? Not just auth. So that we can check here. Yeah, we're going to check here now, right? That is fine. Now, shipping address schema, right? If you want to get the data, see, this is the data, right? This is the data you're going to receive. Now you want to validate. So we just call that schema and then parse the data, right? So we have all that information inside this address field, like first name, full name, postal code, everything will be inside this object. Okay. So we just import that schema also, right? Let's do that. Import shipping address schema from the validation validator, right? From there. So fine. So now we have, let's go line by line. Where we are, get user by ID, start from here, right? So, okay, let's go. This function, we have the data or value. After filling out the form, we check if there is session or not, if somebody is logged in or not, right? From session, we can find the user ID. So we'll check if the current user, you know, like, is there current user or not, right? By calling Prisma user find first where ID equal to session user ID, right? If no current, if there is no user, then you can throw error, okay? User not found, right? Address, you can just shipping address schema dot parse and pass the data, right? We have all the information from our form. from the form we submit, right? Then after that, we'll check if there is existing address or not, right? So we can call it await Prisma address find first user ID and current user.id, right? So we have the user now, and we'll check if the user already have some address or not. Okay, so if there is an address, then we just update now, right? If there is already something, then we just update it, so we're gonna get the uh, update. Yeah, so we're gonna get existing address.id, right? We have the existing address.id, so we're gonna update what? First we have to say, we have to tell the table which we want to update, right? So where id equal to existing address.id, that is the first thing you pass, and then you pass the data, right? So we have all the data in the address here, in this what is the address? This address, right? We have all the data. We just spread, that is the object, so we just spread, right? Spread here, and it will update our data. Let's say there is no shipping address, then we're gonna have to create new, right? So in that case, we say data spread address where user id equal to current user id, right? That's it. It will create new data. After data is created, either updated or created, right? Then we're gonna move to the uh, place order, right? Basically we move to this page. Okay, so we have to call the revalidate path. Let's call that import revalidate next revalidate path, right? Next case. So we just move to this revalidate path, means we just move to this path, right? We basically refresh the page. Okay, so we are there, and then if success, just return the message, right? User address updated successfully, or maybe created successfully, right? Then we also have error. If you want to return error, we have format error function. We can just call that and pass the error message. So let's do that. Import format error, right? Commuters. So that function will do the job. Okay, fine. So we have now the function to create or update the address, right? We got the function ready. What is the next step now? Let's see. So okay, so checkout step, right? Okay, we have the function. So now now we need the place, right? We need a place where we're gonna create, like, okay, let's create a component, right? Which component gonna have the steps, the different steps to go through. So it will be something like a I mean, you guys have seen before also, maybe, right? When you do the shopping, let's say this is the page, right? And here on the top, you're gonna have like the login, maybe, if not logged in, login, right? Or sign up. Then next step is shipping address, right? The next step is maybe payment, right? Next step is maybe like final something submit. So we have like a couple of steps, right? So this component we're gonna create next. Okay, so when you are in this step, right? Let's say you are in the shipping address form, you're gonna just fill out the form, submit. If there is already address, you're gonna get that address from the database, and you will see here, you will see the address there, right, in the field. That's the point. Okay, and then you can have the button to click, move to the next place. So let's go back to the shared checkout steps, right? So let's create a component called checkout steps in the shared folder. So in our component, we have, okay, in the component, right, shared, we can create here. So let's add, right? Just look at here, right? This component, okay? Checkout steps, it receives the object, right? Basically, let's say current is equal to 0. It has some, it receives the value current, okay? Like props, right? It's gonna receive props called current, which is basically the number, right? Number, you can even define the types here if you want, something like this. Current is, number, right? Like that. That is fine. Okay. So it receives the props called current. Right now it's 0. So look at here. 0 index is this user login, right? 1 will be shipping address, 2 will be payment method, and 3 will be place order, right? So what, this is the array, right? You map through the array. Then in the map, what happened? You have another function, callback function. You can have a step. So step will be each item one by one. Loop 1 will be user login. Second will be here, right? So, I mean, it will loop through all this, right? And then you display, see this step, look at here. That's the parent component, right? React fragment. What is React fragment? This is nothing but the, if I don't put here, right? If I don't, sometimes you're going to see something like this, but this is a React fragment, okay? You can even write like this, a React fragment, right? Or if you don't like this, just put a div, right? Because I don't have use of div here. I'm not adding any style. So normally we put fragment, okay? So even I can just use a div, right? Does not matter. You can just delete this. And only thing important is key. When you have loop, right, you must provide the key. So key will be index, right? That is all. So yes, I think I added in the wrong place, right? That's div. Okay, somewhere I have done mistake, so let me check. That's the step, right? I must put another div inside here. Div. So why is this here? Let me find now, right? There is some step, I think somewhere I make a mistake. So let me see. That div will be outside of this bracket, okay? So we must have one div here, right? The next one is, so in the loop, so that's the first, there is a second div, right? So div, I don't know why it's not catching up here. Class name, okay, so somewhere okay, just leave it, right? For now, just keep it. So it should be, like, I should not be deleting, okay? Just change here like this, right? But you get the idea, okay? Either use fragment, because this div has no use, right? That's why in the React, they said, okay, if there is no boxes you need to add some style or anything, right? Better use the fragment, okay? This will be like a parent component, but it has no shape, nothing, right? It's just to make sure all your information inside is wrapped in a one container, right? One box. That is all. So, if you can just put div here, that should be same, no problem. Okay, guys. So what happened now? This will be, there is a loop and you are displaying this item, right? Many times. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4 times, right? And then each time you have the steps that will be user login, all that, right? And there is CSS now, okay? Some CSS, right? So if the index equal to current, right, display this. Also we have some additional condition, okay? If the index equal to current, like this 0 index, and step, the current is 0 also, right? Then display some busy secondary this is from the dark, some kind of secondary color, right, from the Satsian. Or maybe no style, right? So that is the only thing for styling. Why we have this CN? This will allow you to add your own CSS plus some additional logic, right? Also, and based on that logic, you can add more CSS. That's why this job is to combine your CSS with the logic. But in the end, it will just put the this CSS, right, based on this logic. Okay. Okay, so you have a step. So it will be, what gonna happen, right? It will be in one line. Look at here. This is the flex between flex call, right? I mean, if you look at this CSS, inside there you are displaying this item. Okay. So let's see. Let's close here. We're gonna have a step, right? Okay, one more thing. Okay, after this div, right, after this div, we have this step. See, this step is what? This step is the one of the item from here. If that is not equal to place order, and right, if that's the true condition, then you put horizontal line below the item, right? So basically, when you click, okay, if this is true, when they are not equal, okay, this step is not equal to place order. If that is true, then put this horizontal line. That is all, right? Or border, okay, some kind of border, right? So okay guys, that is all. I think checkout steps, we're going to use this later, right? This component is ready to display all this name, and it's like a, when you move to the next step, you're just going to pass the index, right? Like what is the step? Current is 0, but you're going to send, maybe for shipping address, you're going to send current equal to 1. Make it, just call this component and make that current equal to 1, right? You're just going to pass that props, and based on that props, right, these things will be styled there. So let's let's move to the next step. So now finally we have, like shipping address. So we're gonna fill out the form and submit that, right? So that is the shipping address form we're gonna create. So let's create a folder in the root address, like shipping address folder, right, in the root page here. And then we're going to create 2 files. I mean, one will be, of course, shipping address form, and the second will be page, right? So we're going to come to page later. I mean, let's add the page also, because every time, if you have the route, you must put page, right? So for now, let's go back and work on the form. Okay. So again, we're going to use the React Satsian form, right? So what I will do, I'm just going to copy this and add here. Let's look at from the top, right? So Jod resolver from the React hook, Jod use form, React hook form. This is the Jod, right? This is all from the React hook form. Okay. Use router from the next router, use toast from the UI, use toast from the React Satsian. These are all Satsian. Okay, these are all Satsian, right? You just look at the UI and the whatever the component we are using from the Satsian. From Prisma, right, we can import the type also. Okay, if we need, we can import, right, the type. Import address, right? Prisma client, like that. This is the type for the data, right? Maybe it will be helpful later. So fine, so let's continue, right? So you have this import form, you import all the form fields. You can import arrow right loader. If need any icons, you can use the Lucid React. Checkout steps, that's the component we just created, right? So we can import that. Update user address, right? So this is the our server action function to create address or update, right? So let me import again. User address, update user address from the action, user action, right? It's coming from there. And also if we need schema, right, from the validator, we can call that again. Just import it, right? If there is error, just import shipping address schema, like that. Good. Fine. So we have everything done. So the now, right, it's time to look at our form. Okay, how we have created, right? So let's see. So shipping address form, this is the form name. Export default function shipping address, this is the component. Inside the component, see, when you call this form, right, in your page later here, because when you go to shipping address, this page will run. Inside that page, you're gonna have this shipping address form, right? And also you will fetch data, and you're gonna, if there is already address, you're gonna pass it to this one. Okay, so if there is a data, right, if there is address already, then that will be address. If not, it will be null, right? So we have address here. Now we need to start creating the default values and all that, right? So router, use router, we're going to use router later, right? So just add it there. See, the form start from the bracket here, right? And then curly bracket, the details of your form. Okay, basically the body, right? Default value, just like if there is an address, then add the value, right, inside the field, like full name, street address. So you're gonna call address dot full name, address dot street names, city, postal code, country, latitude, longitude, or undefined, right? Or empty also. Okay, just keep it like that. So if there will be address already in the box and you want to go to the address, right, you will fill, your form will be filled out with this information automatically. And if there is no address, see, this is a conditional rendering. If no address, then this part will run, means all these fields are empty, right? So this is the default value. Before, what we used to do, right, we just put the default value here and then colon, and you define the object, right, like this, and you put all these information here. But because this is too long, right, I just keep it separate. So now I have the address ready. Just make it something like this. Just call that, right? If calling this variable means what? I'm calling all this information, I'm just calling all this information in this place. You have the toast so that you can display the message later. Is pending start transition, we talked about that. React transition. So when you have to do the functionality, that's gonna take some times. You want to have different steps like pending states, then pending is true, then start transition, then do whatever, right, get data or something like that. Then it's better to have start like use transition function from the React. Okay, like move from one place to another step, right? That's the transition is used for. So on submit, now this is just a function, right? On submit, you're gonna get value. So you'd give the type of that value, basically g.info type of shipping address schema, right? You can do that. Then, or you can just call that, we already have the type defined also. You can call that and just put it without this, right? So start transition now. Asynchronous function, what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna first update address, user address value. If there is no response, then just display this message, right? Else, and then return else router.push, move to the payment method. Okay, move to the next route payment method, right? So this, see, once your field is ready, like when you update the address and when you submit the button, right, this will update your database, and it will send you to the next phase, that is payment method phase. Okay, so that's the thing gonna happen. But let's look at the form now, right? So when you render the form, you will be, like you're gonna have the current, like you're gonna render this one, checkout step equal to current, right? Current equal to 1. That you will be in this step. Okay, and in that step, right, just below that one, you will see all this information, right? So here is a heading 1, shipping address. It's like a box, right, with all these things. Form, the form has how many fields now? Look at here. Full name is there, street address is there, city is there, then you have country, then you have postal code, and yeah, and then button, right? Finally button. So here also the button is disabled, that is pending, right? Then is pending true, then loader means when you click the button, right, if the pending is true, means basically if the pending is let's think like this, if that is true, you're gonna call the loader, right? If that is false, then you're gonna call this like action arrow button to continue, right? Something like that. Okay, so you're gonna fill out the form and click on the button. Soon you click, based on this variable, it will be displaying this, that, like, it will go like round loading state, right? So that's the reason for this transitioning, this use transition. It has already built-in states like pending states and the completion, right? So here, this is the state is pending, that will be either true or false, boolean, right? This is boolean. Okay, and this is the function, based on this like function, right, you're going to start the next step inside that function. Okay, okay, all right, so that's the form field. That is all. Let's now work on the page, right? Final shipping page. Import app name, right? Then get my cart, you can import that also. Then you have get user by ID, right? So you can import that also, or you can just, because they are in the same place, you can even call it here, right? Get user by ID, right? I hope that is okay. It's giving error, so let's try to get it separately. So I don't know why it's giving error. Import get user by ID, leave action, user action, yeah, in the same function or same file. So now, right, let's go through this. You have the meta here, the basically shipping address. So when you are in this page, right, your title will change, shipping address, and then whatever the app name, right? Then inside we're gonna go and then call it get my cart. So we're gonna find the cart. If no cart or cart item, the length is 0, then redirect to maybe any page, right? You just go to the next page somewhere, or maybe cart page again. Now session, we can check the session, await session, right? You have to import auth, yeah, that is there. User now, okay. So user get await get user by ID, right? And See why we need this session again, because we are trying to get the user with that get user by ID. So from session you can get the user ID, right? Like that. So if there is a session, if there is a user inside, then give me the ID, right? And then that will give me the whole user details. Okay. Now also we're going to check this user. Remember this, when you get user by ID, right? We are getting what? We are getting the address details also. We are getting that, right? We have added in our function there, get by user, get user by ID, right? So if you go back to the leave action, you know, where is the user action, right? So get user by ID, we say include address, true, right? So we should get that address also. So we're going to check how it looks, right? The address. So now, okay, so fine, it's not working because I have changed something there. It should be like a small address now, right? Because I just keep it this name. Okay, user are gonna have this address, right? Because in the schema, in the user schema, if you remember, it's not open here. I just put a small address name, right? And user address, from there I just need the first, because this will return the array, right? Get me the first object, like first item, right? And that will be my address. So we say right, if this is an array, that's true, that means return user address first, or this or null, right? So I mean it depends. Okay, I think we if there is a user, you know, you will get this directly, right? But let's keep it address or null. But I want to check one thing, right? I want to do the console log here. So before return, right, I'm returning. So see, now shipping address form, we are passing address, right? If there will be address, this form gonna receive that address, and you know, it will be like display already in the form, right? But it's okay. Let's console log and see what we get. Console.log. That's right. Fine. So we almost finished, right? We almost finished. I believe that is the last. Now it's time to check. So see what we have done. We create the validation for our shipping address. We added the schema, right? Schema for the database. Also, you know, schema for our validation, right? That's the one. And then we create types also. The next step was, you know, we added the, what was that? I mean, basically we create the, not navbar, but the, you know, let's check what is the name, right? We come to the form later, but we created this checkout steps, right? We have these steps, okay? And also we created the function to update, because after you have created the database schema, you're going to need function to update, right? And this function is used in the form, okay? The user address form, right there. So there you're going to send the value will be that data, and then you go through this process to either update or create, right? Okay, and then you have checkout steps, and here is the shipping address form, right? This form is using that, you know, the update user here. Look at this, right? So we have the function here, you know, on submit we are calling that function and giving the value. That's it. Okay, and once updated, it will move us to the payment method, right? Like route us to the payment method. So that will be the next route, payment method. We're gonna work on tomorrow, or once I fix the issue here, right? But let's start the project and see how it looks. npm run dev, right? I know there is some bug with the next header. So okay, why I have something running? Yeah, I was working here right earlier. Let me close this. So if we just go to the like we have the route. Let's check the route, right? The route will be, let's see, shipping address. Okay, that's the route. Okay, shipping address, right? Let's see what we get. So see, it will send us to this sign in with credential, right? Okay, so what I'm gonna do for now, right? Let's go back, because I know it's when I click, it will not send me to the, because I'm not signing, it will not send me to the form, right? So let's see if I have the sign. I just sign in first, because that's the one thing need to fix. Okay, so now if we go again, uh shipping address, right? So yeah, so now that's the problem here. You are importing a component that needs next header, right? That only work in the server component, which is not supported in the page directory, right? Okay, okay, fine. So import prisma adapter auth, right? So that is next here. Okay, so I get issue with something, like if I go back to the auth here. So this cookie, okay, this cookie is not supporting right now, because I'm calling some action in the client side, but it should, I mean, there should be some solution for this. Okay, guys, so let me fix now, right? The thing is, once it's fixed, it should be like, even if we are not logged in, right, it will direct us to the login page. You log in, and then we get that the component, right? The page where you're gonna look at your just add the shipping address, like for example, let's go back, right? Let's go back. Now it will not let me, even suppose 3000. It's just giving error, right? Because I have error here, so I have to restart. So it should be a couple of fix I need to figure out, and then that should be okay. So when you add something to the cart, right? When you add something to the cart, yeah, increase, and then you will, like you're gonna go to this proceed to checkout, right? You're gonna go here. So it will redirect me to the, okay, it redirect me to the login now, right? Fine. Okay, this 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, because I remember yesterday, right? Remember that what we have done. Anyone remember that? That was in the root card, right? Card form, and when you submit the form, right? Sign in. Here should be shipping address now, right? Move to this route. Okay, so see, that's the problem. Okay, that's the thing. So let me fix this. If this is fixed, we can talk after lunch. If not, maybe we're gonna continue tomorrow, right? But just try to work through your way and add all these things in your page, right? And also you try if you can fix that. it's okay. If not, I will explain again tomorrow, or maybe I think it should be done, today. All right, guys. So let me stop here, right?